What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham with Hannah Burr.
Hello.
Good evening, Hannah.
Good evening. How are you?
It's a late one for us.
It is. Things have been crazy.
Yes. How was your first week
It went incredibly
at,
well.
at Disney?
It went incredibly well. I'm
Good.
at the most magical place on earth.
Yes.
No offense. No offense. Uh,
That is the most magical place on earth.
and we're, as people can tell with the background, we're still trying to settle in. We
Yeah.
move into our new place a week from today, actually.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So you're not in your new place yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No, once we're in our new place, I'll
Is
be
that the
able to.
place that you showed me on the
Yeah, the place that I texted you,
video?
that's where
Yeah,
we're
that
moving
looks
into.
great. Looks great.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
We're excited.
Yeah, looks really neat.
And
Well, congratulations on completing your first week.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And also this new place comes with a podcast booth actually.
What your apartment does?
The new apartment comes with a podcast booth.
What do you mean it comes with a podcast booth?
So it's open to the public, but there's a podcast booth that they rent
Oh,
out
it's
for
like
free.
community thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
It's
wow.
really cool. And they want to put in a green screen for it so you can just change your background to whatever.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. All right.
So might experiment with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be cool. Do they provide mics and all that stuff too? Or
Yes.
you have to bring really?
I mean, when we were there were mics in there. I don't know if that was for show or not, but
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Interesting.
look
Cool.
into it more. But I still like my little trusty old razor here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, well, it's been a week for both of us, but it is the finale of Andor that just happened this past week, and I watched it, of course, the night it came out. I've not watched it since. I'm going to watch it again maybe tomorrow. You just watched it, so it's fresh in your mind.
I watched it this morning because I just did not have time. And I
Yes.
got to tell you, I recorded and deleted 3 different reaction videos
Oh, wow.
because I just was lost for words.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
was like,
Well,
ha, da,
this is
da.
going to be interesting then, because I'm curious on your thoughts, and there's a lot of mixed reactions out there, obviously. So we will get into that.
I do have to give kudos to the Star Wars community, though. Every single post I've seen about this has been like spoilers. So
Oh
I
yeah,
know to avoid. So I
people have
gotta
been
say,
doing
this
good.
time around with Andor, the Star Wars community has been so good about warning people about spoilers.
Agree. I very agree. So we'll get into that here shortly. We're going to talk a couple things that I saw in the news that I wanted to bring up. First, though, thanks to our patrons, as always, for the support and everything you guys comment and do for us. One of our big patrons, Thrawn, last week said, he said, what can I say about Andor episode 7, 8, 9? Fantastic, but so brutal to watch. I think this is as terrifying as the Empire has ever been. And as much as I enjoyed it, was hard to watch at times considering what is going on in the world today. And think Tony Gilroy has done really well to make this feel like Star Wars, but very relevant to the real world. Watching all the Gorman rebels be tricked to go to that protest and be gunned down with the Empire taking out its own soldiers to initiate it and make it look like it was justified. It was great writing and so well done. The the K2 droids took like Terminators was great. I was surprised at Cyril's ending and thought after he confronted Deidre, he might be then join the rebellion, but guess his long obsession with Andor got the better of him. After their awesome fight for Andor, to say to Cyril, "Who are you?" must have been gutting to him. And then for him to just be shot was just a shot. Deidre's performance was fantastic, especially when she's having a little bit of a breakdown after it's all over. It's a great character writing when you could still feel for the villain, even though she was coordinating this terrible act. With all that in episode 8, I didn't think they could top it, but episode 9 with Mothma and her speech as well, as her escape was so intense and satisfying to watch. I like that Gilroy didn't exactly change Mothma's Rebels episode and left it open that she could have still traveled on the Ghost and made a second speech. Her speech in the Senate was so good, and when she actually said the name Emperor Palpatine, it gave me chills. I also liked Bix's ending in the series and happy they didn't just kill her off, and her leaving was a more powerful sacrifice for the rebellion so Andor can continue. Lastly, so excited K2SO is back and can't wait to see him in the last 3 episodes. Feel like we've been waiting for him for a long time. Loving all your thoughts for the video and can't wait for next week's review. May the force be with you. So, yeah, lots of good stuff there. We talked about all that, and yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, we'll see if we think that those episodes were topped. They're very hard to do for those episodes.
Yes.
But 2 things I wanted to bring up real quick. One, and this kind of escaped under the radar for me, so I got to go check it out. But Star Wars Outlaws, the game, that DLC that we were talking about is out now.
Oh, sweet.
So people can go see that. I'm probably going to check it out tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that is out there. It's the Hondo's in it, so go check that out.
I also just love the fact that the person who voices Hondo is Jim Cummings.
Oh, I don't even know if I knew that.
Yeah,
It is Jim Cummings? Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I knew who.
I'm pretty sure it's...
Well, he's been doing it for a while now.
Yep, he does the voice of Hondo.
Yeah, nice.
You know, the guy who does Winnie the Pooh and like a million other characters.
Ton of stuff. Yeah, he does a ton.
The only reason why I know that is I saw a video, that was a BTS video where he surprised a whole Star Wars panel by coming out as Hondo. Like, he was doing the voice of Hondo backstage, and then he walked out on stage, and I was like, oh my gosh, Hondo is voiced by Jim Cummings. What? So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I'm sure he's voicing him in this.
Blows my mind.
Hondo's been around for a while now. Okay, so yeah, go check out the DLC. The other thing I just wanted to bring up was, and I just shared this with you. This is interesting. Yes. So, look, I don't really watch a lot of TED Talks, but I came across this article that had this TED Talk, which had ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, Senior Vice President Rob Brado. He did a TED Talk, and he was talking about something that is kind of hits very close to home because we're dealing with a lot of AI in video, in film, and Rob is here talking about how ILM is dealing with AI and how they're incorporating AI tools into their workflow. And he brought up about, there's a video out there, if you go search for it on YouTube, it's called Star Wars Changed Visual Effects, and AI is doing it again. That's the TED Talk. And he's there talking about how, you know, how far ILM basically created computer technology in films. So, you know, they took a step forward with that. But first off, what I think for everybody listening, if you want to go check it out, look it up and go to if you want to just watch the whole thing or not, but if you want to skip to around the 10:40 mark, he basically introduces a 2-minute short film. Now, don't get excited, it's not canon. But he introduced a 2-minute short film that somebody on ILM did, a guy named Landis Fields. And 2 weeks, using nothing but AI, he created this 2-minute short. And it's a short about a probe droid that goes to a planet for the first time, and it's basically just a short that shows all the different creatures that this thing would be looking at, and it's called a field journal, or what was it called? Field something, field guide.
Yes.
So I guess the thing I wanted to bring up, because again, we're dealing with this at work. I know you did when you worked with us, and I'm sure you guys are going to probably do a lot with it at Disney. But the one thing I thought was really key that I read in the article, I didn't hear him say this, but what was said in the article was that, when Industrial Light and Magic got involved with Jurassic Park, originally Phil Tippett, who does a lot of stop motion and did Star Wars, he was actually supposed to do the dinosaurs as stop motion.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah. But ILM showed Spielberg all these test footages of these CG dinosaurs, and he was like, well, we're doing it in CG now, right? So,
yeah.
And I remember, I think everybody remembers for the first time when they saw Jurassic Park, it's like, I remember seeing it in theaters, and I was like, what is this? Like, that does not look like a puppet. How did they do that? It's, but what I'm getting at is that what was neat was that he said, Phil Tippett was asked later, how did you feel about these dinosaurs being CG now? And he's like, and he said the famous line. He said, well, it looks like I'm becoming extinct, which is a line that Spielberg eventually used in the movie. Mm-hmm. But the thing that Rob is saying in this TED Talk apparently is that he's saying, look, when that happened, stop motion people and artists, they didn't lose their jobs. Basically, they started working with the CG people, and still, because they had the knowledge still of the models, it helped the CG people understand how to do it better, right? So it wasn't that, he goes, we didn't just throw we didn't just get rid of them. We worked with them. Mm-hmm. And he's saying that's what we're looking to do with AI, is we're not trying to replace anything. We're trying to, how do we use it to improve what we're doing? And I think if you can somehow, which I know it's very difficult to do, but if you can somehow maintain that mentality of using it as an assistant versus as the medium, I think it has a place, because as you probably know, and you've probably heard, there's, like, I was reading another article about, like, I think it's China. I think China's got like robot doctors now.
Oh God.
And it's like, you are in some places, you are starting to replace humanity. And that's where it starts getting, literally scary. Not just because you're losing jobs, but the fact that there's a lot of AI robots out there. So,
I'm sorry, but you cannot replace a doctor with AI. Like, I'm sorry, have we not seen the movie Patch Adams? Have we not seen that movie and how impactful that movie is? Have we not?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an argument there, but what do you think of? So what do you think? What do you think of the short, and then what do you think of, like, what do you think AI is going to do to filmmaking?
So at first I was very, very concerned, but I can understand the whole idea of, especially when you compare it to CG and having the stop motion helping inform CG. That's so important, because when you watch this video, I swear 80% of it, you go, that's AI. That is clearly AI. That was not created by a Star Wars person. That wasn't. And then some creatures, I'm like, oh, that could have been.
Right.
So could I foresee these 3D artists creating these models and then AI using the models to help do actions that they want? Sure. But there's always a part of me saying, one, AI is not perfect.
No,
I
not
truly
yet. Not
believe
yet.
I don't think it ever will be perfect. Because if it's perfect, then we're entering Skynet
Oh yeah.
time. Let's
Oh
be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
And I hope we don't. Two, I'm very concerned about AI taking over people's jobs.
Yeah.
I don't want it to do that. I understand, like, I mean, in our line of work, there are some times where AI can actually be a huge help,
Hmm.
even when it comes to trying to come up with a concept for a video, right?
Right.
Even when it's a television pitch, even when it's, hey, I came back from vacation, I didn't have time to go through all my 600 emails I received. Hey, Copilot, if you're in the Microsoft Office arena, can you filter through my emails and tell me what's priority? Like in times like that, that helps. But even then, it's not perfect. So it might have missed an email you were supposed to respond to. So I have mixed feelings. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think it feels very realistic, but a lot of it is like, oh, that was totally AI. Like I think at one point they showed a blue antelope.
They definitely showed a blue lion.
Yeah,
Like,
a blue lion and then a tiger with blue stripes or something like. It's like obviously that's AI.
yeah.
But there were other creatures there that I was like, oh, that could be a Star Wars creature. So I don't know. I think, and this is what I teach my students. I think AI can be helpful, but I don't think we should use it as a crutch.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. I think, what's crazy is that I agree with you. I think that as soon as like, robots and AI start replacing humans, we're in a whole different environment at that point. But I will say, like, there definitely are. It's weird because part of me is like, I mean, if you take it back to Star Wars, like, think about Star Wars, like, there's droids, right?
Right.
And there's droids that do a lot of stuff. In fact, I saw a video of like they had these two robots. It looked like a hotel, like in the back room. They were doing the folding the towels and stuff. So it's like, I get it. There's some, but you're right. That could have been a job. That could be a job.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I still think is like relevant in the AI Star Wars comparison. It's like, because I'm curious about I can't remember if I asked you this or not, because me and Martin on Mandalore, we've gotten into this a couple of times about droids.
Oh yeah. If they're sentient or not.
Right. And like, droids aren't like they aren't
I
in
don't
Star Wars.
know.
They're not AI. And I keep
No.
going back to, there's a line in episode 2. Remember when Obi-Wan's sitting there with Dexter, and he talks about droids, and Obi-Wan, and I have the line like sitting right here, droid. He says, "Well, if droids can think, there'd be none of us here." Like, droids don't like, they can't. They're programmed to do something, and that's it. They can't. That's why they can't revolutionize into. Now, again, there's argument that L3 in Solo, right? Like, she revolted. She tried to get all these other droids to revolt. It's like, that's borderline AI thinking kind of thing. But
Then when you think about it, whenever like her consciousness got uploaded into the Millennium Falcon never really progressed like
correct.
a sentient being would have done.
True.
I think that's the perfect comparison with someone like Iron Man. And this isn't necessarily like expressed as explicitly, but you will notice, like for example, When Iron Man went into space to throw that missile out during the first Avengers movie, next time we see him in space, his suit allows him to breathe in space. Every time Iron
Oh,
Man's
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
think about it. Every time Iron Man's outfit has a weakness of some sort, Tony immediately goes, "That will never happen again," and he fixes his suit to make sure that that weakness never happens again.
Mm-hmm.
That suit is connected to Jarvis. Jarvis cannot update it unless Tony tells him to.
Right.
So that's the perfect comparison. Do droids have personalities? Absolutely. They all
Yeah.
have personalities. But yeah, like I think before I'm like, I think they're sort of sentient, but no. I think what it is they have been around humans so much that they adopt human personalities.
Which is part of their programming.
Exactly. So they're not sentient, but they do have personalities.
Yeah. They have personalities. They can. I don't think you have to be. I don't think you have to possess artificial intelligence per se to learn. Like I
Right.
think they can learn to do something when you tell them to do it,
Yes.
but they can't all of a sudden decide, yeah, I'm not going to do that and I'm going to kill you. Like that's not
Right.
like they can't do that. But there are droids, right, that are programmed as assassin droids, so
Yeah.
they can kill you, right, because that's their programming. But it's like everything's. I mean, you hear it all the time. Like that's what they're programmed to do. That's what they're programmed. So I guess that's like kind of like, why can't we do that in this world? You know, like why do we have to have artificial intelligence? Why can't we just program a robot to do something and that's it, and not give them AI to be able to figure it out and all of a sudden be like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and I just want to humanity. Why do I need to take your orders anymore? I mean,
Seriously. Oh my
that day, I'm telling you, that day is coming
No,
at some
it
point.
is. We're gonna get Skynet in real life, and I'm not looking forward to it.
No, I hope I'm gone by that time.
Yeah, me too, man. Because
Yeah.
that will not be fun.
But back to this, it's like I think I think the next. I mean, look, AI, especially in this medium of filmmaking and visual creation, it's accelerating fast.
Very fast. Like
And
we've seen programs that you can literally type, "Hey, I want a Japanese woman walking through Tokyo wearing a red coat with a pink umbrella." And you will see that is a perfect no. For some reason, AI has problems with fingers. That's what I'm noticing.
totally, hands are bad. Yeah,
Hands are
yeah,
bad. They're horrific.
yeah.
But otherwise,
Anytime that it's like crossing and something, it's like you
even
can
when
tell.
it's just kind of like hanging there, they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this person has 6 fingers," and you're like, "Huh?" But but outside of that, dang, it looks
It's hard.
realistic.
I know it's hard. It's hard, and again, you give it some time, maybe a year. I think the fingers thing probably solves itself, and then it's just going to start getting harder and harder to determine whether or not. But I think with the amount of artists out there, being actors, designers, CG artists, whatever, with the amount of people out there, it's going to be awfully hard to. Because in the commercial world, in some of the commercial world, it's easier to maybe use that and get by with it because you're not part of some union or something like that, which most of these filmmakers are. The unions no way are going to allow AI to take any jobs away.
No way. I mean, I foresee if you want to use AI in the likeness of even a background extra, you're going to have to get their written consent and you're going to have to pay them.
Oh yeah. And some will take the money.
Especially if it's oh shoot, what's the term? What's the term when a TV series just randomly re-airs?
Syndication.
Yep.
Yeah.
They get a check for that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's an interesting topic. It's a
Yes.
very hard topic to um, even think about a solution for. But we're in it right now. I mean, we're in the middle of that kind of stuff right now, and
Yeah.
we're figuring out all the kinds of AI stuff right now. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Indeed.
But we got to talk about Andor.
Yes, we do.
So the last 3 episodes aired. Episode 10 being called Make It Stop, 11 being Who Else Knows, and then 12 simply called Jeddah, Kyber, Urso. Okay. 7, 8, 9 were clearly game-changing episodes for this season, this series, and even Star Wars in general, I think. So how can 10, 11, and 12 live up to it? Did it, Hannah, in your opinion? Go ahead.
I think it did.
Wow. Okay.
I think
Okay.
it did. I think 7, 8, 9 had a different weight to it. Like I don't think you can compare 7, 8, 9 to 10, 11, 12. I think there are two different subjects. Like
Mm-hmm.
even though it falls under the same idea, they're we're dealing with two different beasts.
Mm-hmm.
Do I find it very convenient that Deidre got messages she shouldn't have gotten that fell into the wrong hands, and all of a sudden that's how we find out the Death Star plans were leaked? Sure, I do find it convenient, but it's not unheard of. In our business, even, people have been copied on emails they shouldn't have been copied on,
Mm-hmm.
or forwarded emails they shouldn't have been forwarded. It happens. So it kind of shows the Empire is not as perfect as we think, which we obviously knew, but to see it in the comms department, a little reassuring, not
Yeah.
gonna lie. But I think, like, first off, I called it. I called that Luthen would kill himself before giving up any secrets, which I do want to talk about this for a second. It is scientifically proven that if you torture someone, they will not necessarily give up answers. It is proven that torture is one of the worst tactics ever to use. So whenever my husband and my husband used to work for the government Department of Defense, so he would know. Whenever we see scenes like that, he's like, "That's not realistic. That would never happen."
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
So as soon as they were like, "We're gonna make you talk," I'm like, "Big whoop! No, you're
Yeah.
not."
Well, don't you think though that don't they have? I feel like they have like some kind of truth serum or something.
Oh, they do. We see that used on Leia. But even Leia couldn't give up the truth with regards to that. Like, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
science points to if you're put under torture and you are truly dedicated to a cause, you will not give up those secrets. We even
Right.
see that tactic in Criminal Minds in season 1. We see that tactic where they're like, "Why are you torturing this guy?" Well, because we're trying to get answers. And Mandy, who plays the main FBI bureau federal agent, he even says like, "That's you're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
No, let him go." And he like befriends him and tricks him that way into spilling the secrets of when a terrorist attack is going to happen. So anyway,
Hmm.
after that side note, I will say, um, I think I would have preferred these 3 episodes as a movie versus Rogue One.
Oh.
I
Okay.
will say that. I think it's just because this feels like Rogue One, we already know what the high stakes are, and unfortunately, just because I feel like Jen is a very passive protagonist and she's supposed to be a strong female protagonist. We've talked about this multiple times, yada yada yada. I feel like those 3 movies or these 3 episodes just told a more compelling story
Mm-hmm.
about the cost of keeping a secret.
Mm-hmm.
What is the cost of the rebellion? What is truly the cost of it for everyone? Now, that being said, at the end of the 3rd episode, I did have the intrusive thought of, I need to now watch Rogue One. I did have that intrusive thought. I think seeing Mon Mothma get a costume change, a look change was great. It helped that continuity. I'm sorry. I know he's a great actor, but I want to see Jimmy's.
Yeah.
I want to see him. He's doing a great job, but I want to see him. Um, but yeah, overall, I would say that these were very intense episodes.
Yeah.
And I would love to know how they got all those random facts about the weapon. And then in Rogue One went, oh, Jin, this is what we're looking for. Like, it still feels like there's a little bit of a gap there if this is truly supposed to go from the last episode into Rogue One.
Yes. Well, I thought about that too. In a quick thing, because did you watch Rogue One? I know you wanted to watch it. Did you watch it after?
I didn't have time.
Well, if you watch it, I watched the first scene because literally the next scene is him showing up at the very the beginning of that, and I was kind of seeing how it connected, and so in this last episode, they basically got all the information but one.
Right.
So they got the information that they're building a weapon. They got the information that Galen Erso is involved. So right there you got and then they're harboring, they're mining all the kyber out of Jeddah.
Right.
For this weapon.
Right.
So they got all that. The only thing they didn't have, which was the one piece, is that it's a planet-killing weapon. And
that's what they get in Rogue One.
That's what they get in the first scene of Rogue One.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because he shows up for that guy, Tivin, they say in here that he only will talk to Andor. So Andor in that first scene of Rogue One goes to him and he says, they're building a weapon. He's like, what kind of weapon? He's like, it's a planet killer. And he's like, a planet killer? And he's like, yeah, some scientist, sent a pilot that's defecting or something like that. And he says, Galen Erso? Is it Galen Erso? And he says, I don't know. I just, I got to get back to Jeddah kind of thing. So that's when, now he has all the information.
Okay.
And then they approach Jin because that's his daughter.
Yep.
And they say the Empire's building a weapon that's capable of destroying an entire planet.
I will say this also, an additional comment, and I can't remember if this was posted on Inside the Force or the Mandalore podcast, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody commented, and this really hit home for me when we saw Mon Mothma's husband solo in a plane.
Right.
Or in a transport.
With which it was weird, that was his son-in-law's mom.
Yeah. Very weird. I'm not even going to look into that. All I was going to comment on was Mon never really got to say goodbye.
No.
She immediately went into hiding and chose the rebellion over her family. And yes. I mean, but on the same side, her daughter's married now.
Doesn't really care about her anyway.
Doesn't and her daughter was very flippant about her, so she was like, okay. And then her husband, we clearly know she doesn't really love him. No. She might love him in the sense of somebody who cares for somebody else.
Sure.
But she's not in love with him.
No. And that was clear in Mask of Fear, which I finished.
Okay.
So,
yes.
I mean, it's clear in there that the marriage was arranged and, yeah.
Very clear. And the second season of Andor makes it also very clear
Hmm.
that it was an arranged marriage. And if Mon would do it all over again, she would say, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not doing this. So it was probably easier for her to do that versus the majority of us who are in
Hmm.
loving relationships and in loving families that were like, I don't know if I could do that. Which I think is why it brings into better perspective why Organa was like, I can't do it.
Right. That's true.
Because it's very clear, especially in the Leia book, that he and his wife have a amazing relationship.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he has a great relationship with his daughter too,
That's
with
right.
Leia.
That's right.
So I think it was easier for, and I think that's also why Mon was like, I'll step up, is because it's easier for her to. She's like, I don't really have a
Hmm.
relationship with my husband, like a marital relationship. My daughter doesn't really care about me.
Right.
So, sure, I'll break ties.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
But it's just something to think about and how tragic Mon's story really is, actually. It ends up victorious, but in this, it's woof.
Right. Right.
But all in all, I really did love these three episodes. Um, and I think Crea,
Clea.
Clea. Oh, that scene when she took Luthen's life was,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think seeing Luthen being like, "Don't look, now look," like teaching her, "This is how you blend in.
Right.
This is how people don't think you did this." Like, oh my gosh.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, but it does show how much Luthen really cares about the cause. He's like, look, people are going to die. And like it truly shows he believes the ends justify the means, which
Hmm.
is why when he dies for this one piece of information, that's when you know, okay, like I'm that scene kind of surprised me when everyone was like, oh yeah, well whatever. I'm like, no, you know Luthen, you know that he would, like, he is so obsessed about the cause. If he dies for something, you better look into it, which I know Mon Mothma knew, but everybody else was just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
no, if he's dying for it, you know it's big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, what did you think of it? I just like droned on forever at
Oh
that point.
no. I don't think it was they were better than 789.
Okay.
I think 789 was just on a whole other level.
Yeah, I think they're two different beasts, but I can
They are.
understand why. Like, the thing, when I say they're two different beasts, so I can understand why someone would be like, oh no, 10, 11, 12 are better than 7, 8, 9. And other people are like, no, 7 and 9 is better than 10, 11, 12. I think they're two totally different
Well,
platforms.
I just look at it this way. If you look at the whole I look at the whole season now in a sense.
Hmm.
The whole season was basically one gigantic movie to me.
Yeah, it really
And what
was.
I mean by that is, there's this build up the first 6 episodes to the climax of, what happens in Gorman. And I said this in my reaction on Patreon. 10, 11, 12 is like the last 5 minutes of a movie where you're kind of
True.
wrapping stuff up and you're closing some holes from, whatever's left of some of these characters. It just happens to be, 3 episodes versus like the last 5 minutes.
Hmm.
Because going into this, that's what it was what happens to Luthen, what happens to Clea, what happens to Mon, what happens to Deidre, and what happens to Vel. I mean, we know what happens to Andor. Like what happened, and we kind of know what happens to Mothma. So it's like these other 4 characters. It's like the ones that we know aren't in Rogue One
Oh, Bix too.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, and Bix. But we kind of you almost Bix kind of almost got solved, right? Like she left.
Yeah, it almost got solved, and then at the end, we're like, oh my gosh, Andor gets to have his legacy continue.
Well, but before we get there, it's like
Yeah,
you almost go into this thinking, okay, Bix may not ever even show up at all.
that is true. That is true. Like,
So
I would have
her
been totally fine without seeing Bix again.
exactly right. So Deidre, Luthen, Clea, and Vel. So Luthen and Clea, I think let's go there first because I think that was the whole the episode 10 was basically about them.
Yeah.
Now I didn't pick up on this, and I feel like I do a good job of picking up on stuff, but I saw an interview with Tony Gilroy. And he was talking about that episode, and he was talking about the relationship between Clea and Luthen. Now, I've seen some people, and Martin in particular, I'll bring up Martin. I know he's going to listen to this. He thought this episode was kind of like too little too late almost. Like we should have gotten this sooner so that we could have understood and felt more about their relationship than seeing it at the end. And I don't like that part, to be honest, like that part doesn't bother me at all because I already felt, I think they did a good job already telling us that they had a good relationship.
Yes.
But here's what Tony Gilroy said that, again, I'm kind of upset to myself that I didn't really pick this up. But he was basically saying that what he wanted to show in this was that this is actually Clea's rebellion, not Luthen's.
You didn't pick up on that?
Well, I mean, Luthen's the one that's, like you just said, Luthen's the one that's driving this entire thing, but he's not. She's driving the whole thing.
I saw it as like, yes, Luthen is driving the rebellion, but
he's not. That's what he's trying to say. Like he's saying everything we've seen in these first two seasons.
Oh no,
she's the one. She's the one dictating it all.
She is, but he's the face of it.
Yes, but
I got that.
How, okay. Maybe I'm missing it because Luthen's in the show. Luthen's doing everything.
For me, it was very, very subtle. And what it was that first scene where they're trading, and then all those people were marched to be executed, and her standing there and watching, and him turning and walking away, saying, "You're on your own." And then she walked after him like, what are we supposed to do? To me, because we already see that Luthen cares about her, refuses to show it, but cares about her, that was him going, huh, I mean, you're right. So how do we do this? And then he trains her how to hone her skills with regards to rebelling.
Yeah, that's this episode.
That's this episode.
No, I totally get that. But I'm saying, like, before this episode, you didn't ever know that about her. And
no, I felt like this
history.
episode was supposed to reveal, because to me, like, yes, I understand the idea that this is a little too late in the sense of, well, why didn't we see this before? It's because this episode is supposed to be through her eyes.
I totally understand that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's why.
No, I'm saying it took this episode to show us that.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas he's saying that what I'm saying is that before this episode, I didn't understand that was the case.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm sorry. Now I'm understanding. I'm understanding what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, before this, there was no evidence that she was the one behind.
Well, there is. You just don't see it because that's what he was saying. Is like there's little hints throughout. Because if you go back and watch some of these episodes, he's clearly, there's times when he's clearly trying to do something and she's saying no, or she's saying you need to do this. There's hints of that throughout.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. I did not catch that either.
Yeah, I never really paid attention to that until this episode, because this episode clearly obviously says
Yeah.
that she wanted to go about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
He trained her how to do it this way.
Yeah.
Right? Which is you gotta be hidden.
You do.
And you can't be out there doing these things. And I think you needed to see those things to understand how she was able to end his life, right?
Yeah. You did.
I thought it was a very powerful. I didn't think it was a very powerful episode. I didn't think it was as daunting as episode 8, but it was very. I was stunned by, for one, I think the girl. I can't remember her name. I looked it up, but it's fantastic this episode. The girl playing Cleo.
I think this might be her first major acting role, actually.
Oh, really?
I think so, because unless I'm getting her confused with another actress. Hang on.
Well, I know Val was in Game of Thrones. Of course, Genevieve done some stuff, so maybe you're right. Maybe she is the one that's the new one. I think I've heard that too.
Yep, it's her first professional acting role.
Wow, that is.
She was cast in this role shortly after graduating from the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah, so she was in school while auditioning.
She's good.
And she was incredibly nervous. And apparently, if I'm remembering the article that I read, she was talking to her agent when she had to do the final scene with the guy who was playing Luthen. And she was like, he's such a great actor. Oh my gosh. And the agent's like, it's okay. They love you. Go in. Their only note is don't act nervous.
Yeah. Well, she killed it.
Okay. She killed it. And apparently she wasn't actually supposed to play that big of a role in the series, but because they loved her acting so much, they increased her role as the series went on. According to the article I read. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, this episode, this is why this episode came a little later, because they wanted to eventually expand her as they were writing this season, and they had to kind of create a backstory, obviously, to make it.
Because according to Google AI, and we all know how truthful Google AI is, she auditioned for the role in 2020. She didn't land it until January 2021.
Yeah, no, it's great. What's is there Elizabeth something? Is that?
Just hang on.
I thought it was Elizabeth something, maybe.
Elizabeth. Oh, I'm gonna massacre
like
this.
Duro or something.
Dulau.
Yeah, Dulac.
No. It's Dulau. Dulau.
Yeah, Dulau. She's good. She's going to be in other stuff. There's no doubt about that.
Definitely, she's fantastic.
Okay, so that out of the way, obviously, yes, I think these episodes had to bring in one other piece of information, which is the Death Star. That's what this is about, is that information, like you said. Are you surprised? Because I was surprised how the fate of Deidre.
I was. The fact that she's going to be ended up as a prisoner, Imperial prisoner, yes. I was like, here's the thing.
Like, she's making the Death Star.
Like, that's how you're going to end her story. Like, that is the one thing. I was like, that's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
I thought, if anything, she would have stumbled across the plans, had a change of heart, and that's how the rebellion found out.
Oh, okay.
That was where I was eventually thinking. But the fact that she just ends up arrested,
Yeah.
for frankly something that I think is BS.
Yes. Yeah.
Like when they were like, "Oh, you're a scavenger." I'm like, "She's a woman in a male dominant field. What do you expect of her? She has to be a scavenger." Like at that point I'm like, "You go, girl. You tell him why." That is bullcrap.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is sexist. Cause like you look at the rooms that she sits in, she's the only woman there. So of course they're naturally like, oh, the woman can't handle it. And I'm like, oh, come on. Okay, I know the Empire is bad, but seriously, are we really gonna go there?
Yeah. See, that's why I need you here because I don't think
I
like
felt
that when it
so
comes.
much injustice for her, I
Yeah.
can't even begin to explain. And the fact that they're like, you didn't report these emails you didn't receive, or you received that you weren't supposed to, and she's like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that happens in every company. You get an email you're not supposed to receive, you just ignore it and delete it. But sorry that deleting it means it doesn't permanently go away from your record. Like, come on. Like, oh my gosh, I felt so much injustice for her. So
So
much.
so just to make sure I'm right on this. So she mistakenly received information about the Death Star,
Yes.
and Lonnie broke into her account, and that's
Yes.
how he found out about the Death
Yes.
Star.
And the fact that they're like, you're a rebel spy because so and so broke in. And they didn't believe her when she's like, he stole my credentials. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how he stole them. And they were like, well, no, you gave them. I'm like, oh, come on. I was
Yeah.
so
But
mad. I
that
felt so
but
much injustice for Deidre is all I gotta say. Justice for Deidre.
but just to think back and think that if 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 she didn't accidentally receive that information, then would this have ever
Yeah, why are you
got
blaming
out?
her? Why are you not blaming the guy who put her name on the email that wasn't supposed to be there? Why are
Yes,
you blaming her? Once again, it's
that's
probably
true.
because it's a dude. It's probably because it's a dude.
Because the only way they would have found out is, I mean, I guess they still would have found out because Galen sent Bodhi the pilot, right?
So the reason why they even found out about this in the first place is Young said I only had a 2-hour window. But when you hear in the interrogation, Deidre's told somebody broke into your email or your portal or whatever you want to call it for 3 hours. So he Young went outside the 2-hour window that he knew he had to not be detected.
Oh,
So when he went beyond the 2 hours, that's when it got flagged.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, if you listen to the interrogation, he
Yeah.
says
I
like
gotta.
Young broke into your certification or whatever for 3 hours. When Young talking to Luthen says I only had a 2-hour window.
So he only had a 2-hour window,
So
meaning.
he believes he only had a 2-hour window before he got tagged or suspected. That's what he basically told Luthen, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But in the interrogation, we find out that he was in her account for 3 hours. So that means he went past the 2 hours, which means he got tagged. ISB was like, what is he looking at?
Oh, I see.
And that's how Deidre got in trouble.
Okay.
That's at least what I gleaned from it. But anyway,
Yeah.
justice for Deidre. I felt
Anyway,
so mad.
do you know? Do you know that was improv when he put his finger on her head?
Was that like that was
Yes.
terrifying? Because I would have thought that
Terrifying.
like if I was in her position, like no wonder why she was scared. I would have thought that would have been a gun.
She completely fell into it perfectly. Because sometimes when actors do that, you could like busting out laughing because you don't know what they're doing. But
Can we
like,
talk about in Rogue One when K2 smacked Cassian
oh yeah,
and Diego had to cover his mouth because he was
he's
laughing? And there's
laughing.
even a
Oh
frame of him smiling because he thought it was so funny.
yeah, that her reaction to him doing that was pure freaking tear.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
It was really good. I mean, but I was surprised. I thought she would get killed and somehow, but she is. Now, here's the thing, though. Think about it. So the Death Star, technically at this point, is actually completed, because.
Yeah. Well, it's almost done.
So I don't know what she's necessarily not building the Death Star. Now, to think about it this way, I mean, she's technically probably going to only be in prison for like 4 more years because the rebellion ends in 4 years.
Yeah.
So she actually could make out really well, which means maybe we see her later somewhere. Who knows?
Maybe.
Okay. Like I said, Mon and Andor, we kind of know how they play out. I think I agree with you about Jimmy Smith's because I loved seeing that scene where it's all the Rogue One people and he was the only one.
I know. I feel so bad.
But I mean, Benjamin Bratt did decent in this. I mean, he was fine. He actually wore the same outfit, which was good.
And he mimicked Jimmy Smith's actions. Like, you can tell this guy studied.
And he actually does look like they actually resemble each other. Like, it's not like they hired a pure white guy to play this.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's completely different. They did try to match his look, which I appreciate.
I appreciate it too, but and I'm glad because I haven't seen a lot of hate against him, which was my biggest concern.
Right.
Because while the Star Wars community can be the nicest community, it also can be the meanest community at times.
I know.
So I'm very, very glad I haven't seen a lot of hate, but and no offense to him, I still selfishly want Jimmy.
No, and I tried to look it up and I really couldn't find what Jimmy was doing because I know they said that they really tried to make the schedules work. Because it's not like Bale was in more than a dozen scenes. It's like it wasn't like he was Andor in every episode. So I'm very surprised they couldn't make it work.
My guess is that there's a family emergency happening with him.
I guess.
Or something personal happening that he just was like, I can't.
I'm hoping he's in good health. Like I haven't really seen anything. So
I mean, it could be his partner.
Sure.
If he has any kids or parents. Like, it could be a number of reasons. And I just hope that he and his family are well.
Agreed. What about, so, I mean, like, again, Saul, we kind of knew what Saul.
And as you read in Reign of the Empire.
Yes. Yeah.
You can understand.
Yeah.
When that was going to blow up.
Yeah, that was very early on.
Yeah.
So what? Okay, so let's get to it because I think this is going to be an interesting take on your thoughts and mine about Bix.
Yes.
Because I'm with you. Like, after we saw the first 2 episodes, 10 and 11, no Bix, I went into this thinking that there was going to be some kind of resolution with that, but I thought there was going to be something where, like, she's part of the rebellion somewhere else, and Andor and her cross paths. I will say that I was surprised that Vel, was saying those things to him, like, basically insinuating, like, I know where she is, and do you want to? And it almost feels like Andor knows where she is. Mm-hmm. But I still at that point I thought, well, maybe she's still fighting somewhere else, right?
Right.
And then going into like the last episode, like I didn't even think about her really. I thought, okay, well, she's not going to be in this, and then we get this last scene. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you my thought first.
Yeah, please do.
Hands down, I flat out love how this ended.
Okay.
I think this is, I don't know, looking at it again, I did rewatch that part. I don't know a better way to end this series now besides this, because I would have never thought of this. I mean, I maybe would have thought of a shot of just her, but her holding a child was brilliant. And I say brilliant for a couple of reasons. One, the scene before, Andor's leaving and we know where he's going. We've seen everyone has, we don't have to wait for Rogue One to come out because it's already been out. So it's like, it's going into Rogue One. We know where that's going. But to throw this in there because we know what happens to Cassian Andor. Because there's two ways you can look at this, right? You can look at this like, okay, what if someone hasn't seen Rogue One? They don't know Andor dies. So then you're watching this thinking like, oh, awesome. Like he's going to be thrilled to, once the rebellion ends, he's going to come home and he's going to be with his, I mean, I don't think they're married, but it's like his partner and they're going to raise a child together in the free world. Or if you've seen Rogue One, you see the scene, you're like, holy and you do what I did, which I started crying. I was like, how tragic is that this child, and she doesn't even know, like she's looking out there, hopeful that Andor is going to make his way back after he does his job and we're going to be a family. And so you can look at it those two ways. But then the way I looked at it, which was, and I'm looking at it now on the screen here, her looking out the horizon, holding this child. That shot right there, I'm telling you, Hannah, to me, that shot right there is the definition of Star Wars. And Filoni said it when, years ago when under like this big round table he had with the Mandalorian directors. He said, what is Star Wars? It's hope and family. That shot is the embodiment of Star Wars right there. It's hope for a better tomorrow, and it's family. And that's what I was thinking of when I saw this, watching this thing. I'm like, and I'm starting to get teared up right now. It's like, this is, brilliant. I would not have thought of it this way, and look, I'm seeing people comment like this is not, they didn't think this was a great ending or whatever, but like, I don't, but everybody has their opinion, but my opinion is love this ending. I think this makes the show good. And before you mention anything, I think the other comment is, the other comments I see is that, they love this show. They actually really love this show and how it feels. But then now some people are saying it kind of makes Rogue One worse because it's not as good in a sense. Like, and it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same as the show. But all I got to say to that, to my opinion, because I really love Rogue One also, it's not the same. It isn't the same. It may have the same characters in it, but Rogue One is about Jyn Erso, and it's a whole other part of that fight. Andor's a part of it, but we already know his story now, these two seasons. And this Rogue One story is now about Jyn Erso and her father. And of course, Gilroy wrote it, but it was also a different director. So naturally it's going to be a different feel, but it's still Star Wars. It still feels like Star Wars anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my thing about Bix. Go.
You took the words out of my mouth. Stop being in my head, Dave.
Really?
I thought the same thing too. I originally when we went to that planet, I'm like, I don't need to wrap up with Bix. Like that was my first thought. It was, I don't need this. Bix left. Like, why is this our ending shot? Why is not the other thing our ending shot? Like, why are we ending here?
Right, right, right.
And then I saw her walking out holding something. I'm like, don't do this to me. Don't, don't do this to me. And then we cut to her holding a child. And I'm just like, I started to tear up too. Cause I was like, dang, this is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hope and family. This is Star Wars. Like I didn't go as far as you thinking, oh, if somebody saw this for the first time, they're like, yeah, Cassian gets to go home to his family. I didn't think that. But what I thought was like just what that image represents.
Yes.
So get out of my head, Dave. What the heck, man?
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad that's the same. I will say that when we went there, before the child was revealed, like I'm kind of like you, like, and not that I didn't need this, but I thought at first I was like, wait a minute, did Bix go back to the planet where she almost got raped? Like, why would she go back there? I don't know why. Maybe it's all good now.
He
I guess.
probably like has
But
connections there.
I mean, yeah, it's the same place. It's the same place that she left.
Yeah.
Before when they. But
Connections. She probably could have a support group there. She
yeah,
probably also technically compared to the other home that she lived at, there's not as many troopers there.
yeah, maybe.
So I think all of that played a huge
But I was a
role.
little surprised by that. But other than that it quickly went away. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm
Because
telling you, man.
you and I both know that in this medium, in this genre of filmmaking, television making, whatever, your final shot needs to speak volumes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
final shot defines it. It just does.
It does. Totally.
And so that's why I was like, why are we going here for our final shot? What is going on?
I know.
And then
I know. I was
boom, and
floored.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Good.
Oh.
I'm glad. Well, we don't have to discuss that back and forth because that was pretty powerful. That was
Yeah.
pretty powerful.
Pretty
And
powerful? It was
It
powerful.
was powerful. Yeah, absolutely. It was, again, it was just a brilliant way to, and I think I saw an interview with her and she said something like, she thought she was done after, 789 or whatever, when she left. And Tony goes, "Oh, just wait till the last episode script when you read it." And she had no idea until she read that she was going to do that shot. And then
That's awesome.
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, I don't really have anything else to hit on. I think that was a good summary of the episodes. I think next week, since now there's kind of this big lull in content coming, we'll take another week, Hannah, and then next week we'll kind of think back of the entire series and talk about that in general, because
Good thought.
did we need this series and how well did it do and things like that? Because I do want to rewatch these last 3 episodes here, but I will say, maybe a little preview of next week. I will say that there's series that Star Wars has done that I probably won't rewatch. I'll definitely rewatch this series.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah, this is definitely a
Heck yes.
rewatch. Yeah.
I
Love
agree.
this thing. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for staying up, Hannah. Curious about what everybody else thinks about this. Yeah, get your comments in on YouTube or, and of course, our patrons are, yes, down here. Yeah.
Down here. Comment.
And yeah, I mean, look, Star Wars is, going on the rest of this year. It seems like there's going to be just a bunch of announcements and letting us know what's coming. And, at some point we got to be, I mean, I know it's a year still out, but we got to be getting a official release of a trailer for Mandalorian and Grogu.
Something.
Yeah, we should start seeing some stuff about Darth Maul, that series that's coming.
Mm,
Andor or Ahsoka shooting right now. So there's a lot going on. We just haven't. And then of course the Starfighter film shoots later this fall. So got some stuff coming, but we'll have to we'll figure out some stuff, and then of course we'll get some Beyond the Sagas going. Hopefully, Hannah, we got to do some more commentaries, stuff
I
like that.
know.
So
I
yeah,
know.
so lots going on. But
Uh,
thank you everybody for listening and watching. If you want to join our Patreon crew, patreon.com/inside the force, go check out that. And we will be back next week to talk more. Thanks as always, Hannah.
Thanks as always, Dave.
Take care, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. May the force be with you.